Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon. It's been an interesting week, but before we begin, let's commit this to prayer. Our Father in heaven, I call upon you, and I thank you for this week. I thank you for our goings out and our comings in. I thank you for the food that you have given us. I thank you for the clothing that you've given us. I thank you for the shelter that you've given us. I thank you for the vehicles that you have provided for us to go out and for us to come back in. I thank you for the great health that you have given us, that we may continue in our lives to serve you. And Father, at this time I lift up those people in our midst that are perhaps sick, perhaps under the weather, perhaps they are still struggling, maybe they are trying to heal their bodies, that Father, you will heal them. At this time especially, I speak about Jennifer, that she may be sick and she needs healing touch from you, that Father, you heal her body from top to bottom, bottom to top, that you touch her with your healing touch, just as a Master Yeshua, the Lord Jesus, who touched people in his time to heal people, that you will, Lord, touch her and heal her completely. And Father, I pray for the rest of my students. There are some students, Father, you know their name, I'm not going to name them, that have tried to shortchange you, that have not tithed properly, that have not given any sadaqah. They have been mean-hearted about it. Where they should have given 100, they only gave 50. Where they should have given 50, they only gave 20. And where they should have given 20, they only gave 5. And they thought that they can shortchange you, they can cheat you, and they can still outsmart the world. And yet, Father, you're the great I am. What you did is you took a lot of these people's finances and you took them away, to show them that cheating God, stealing from God, is never the answer. But then I have my other students, Father, who have been righteous with you. JJ, who has been righteous with you. He is been there trying to do the Torah to the best of his ability. And Father, that you will bless him tremendously with jobs, with businesses, that he may prosper. And I also petition for my student Richard in America, that you will bless him tremendously, you lift him up, and you will show him your power, and you will bless him with miracles, with prosperity, with great health. And Father, I lift up my student Vera, who has been also righteous in her judgments, in her dealings with you, that you will bless her tremendously in the housing sector, that you will bless her, that she will be lifted up, and she will do great. And my student John Jacob, I lift him up, that he has been following you diligently, faithfully in every way, that you will also lift him up. So much so that companies will be chasing him for jobs, and money will be chasing him. Businesses will be chasing him. That you will bless him tremendously as he has dealt righteously in all judgments to the best of his ability. The Father, these are some of the names that I mentioned that have in due course done the right thing. And I also, Father, lift up my student Eddie, who is somewhere in Japan, that you'll bless him, you'll keep him safe as his goings, as his comings into America. And Father, I lift up the people of the church that was built 16 years ago, that you lift those people up, you lift the caretakers of that building, you lift them up, you bless them. And you lift up the people that go there, that you'll bless them, that you'll show them your power. that to do the right thing brings power and authority. That you'll bless them, you'll take them out of their poverties, and you will bless them tremendously. And Father, I especially give thanks for the family in London. I give thanks for Rabbi Jeremy. You lift him up, bless him. I give thanks for the family that trusted in you in UK, the Roy family, that you'll bless them, even though Roy was struck with an illness just out of nowhere. That Father, you're so good, that you're so kind, that you reversed that situation and you brought him to a point from no hearing to hearing. It's amazing. It's just amazing. I thank you for that, Father, that you continue to lift those people up and continue to feed them your goodness and keep them under your wings. And also, Master Yeshua, I lift up your name and I thank you that you have been there in my life to help me when I go out, when I come in. And I petition and I put all of these my students that are there, that are serving, that you bless them all, that the world will be their oyster. They will see your power and authority. I thank you, and I also pray for peace, not just in America, not just in Israel, not just in other countries that are at war, Ukraine and Russia. I pray for the right leaders. You give the right leaders in these countries that can effect peace. Right now, Father, as we all know it, that we don't have the right leaders in these countries. So therefore, bring the right leaders in these places so that world can be a more peaceful place to live. And we look forward to the return of Master Yeshua, a time in the future where we will have our temple back, where we will have all the tribes back, and where you will restore the complete Torah. Until that time, Father, things roll on. And there's rumors of wars, and there is wars. So in everything around us, in all this chaos around us, you bless us, you protect us, you lift us all up tremendously, that we may glorify your name. I ask this in Master Yeshua's name. Amen. We amen. So as you know, that it's been interesting week with rumors of war with Iran. Lebanon war also already started. The Iranian war, we are on the brink of it, and it may start any moment. It could start any moment. There's still things spinning, which I believe are going to affect that war as well. But there's going to be some surprises. I can tell you there's going to be some surprises. And those surprises are going to be the so-called leaders of Israel. Leaders of Israel are going to get some real surprises. Because the interesting part is this. Right now, I don't see the leaders of Israel asking for peace. They're asking for war. They want America to get involved in the war as well. They want European nations to also get involved in the war. So, historically, it is known that these kind of leaders have benefited for the war from both sides. They are not saying, they're not the type of people that fight the war and say, one side win the war. They like to benefit from both sides of the war because they fund both parties. They want to make money from both parties. This is the situation. The Christians, unfortunately, that support such leaders are blind leading the blind. They don't know any better. So, I'm not surprised at what's going on. But like I told you, there's going to be some nasty surprises in the pipeline. And you will see that the same Persian Empire that at one time God allowed to squash Israel, because of its sins that were many, God can use the same Persian Empire twice for the same judgment. So remember what I just said. Other than that, back at home in the US, interest rates are set to come down in the next evaluation in September, and maybe give people some relief, in the high inflation. And this high inflation is created by people who want to benefit from both sides of the war, and you should know who these people are. If you don't know, then you're still living in a zombie state, and I think many of you need to come out of this zombie state and need to be in a living state. Remember Jacob, our forefather, when he was in his zombie state, he was constantly crying and missing his son Joseph, and the Spirit left him. The Holy Spirit had left him long ago when that happened. And then when he came to his senses, when he found his son again, and the Bible writes that he started to live. In other words, his spirit came back. The Holy Spirit came back to him. He didn't have prophecy for all those years. All those years that he kept crying, he did not get any prophecy because the Spirit had left him. So if you're going to put yourself into that state, then know that prophecy will not come to you. Spirit will leave you. And then Spirit can only return when you're in a non-zombie state. In other words, born of above, or as the Christians call it, born again. You want to use that term, that's okay. So you want to be in a born again state, and so that the Spirit can speak to you and Spirit can guide you. It can only happen in certain situations. Our parsha this week is Parshas Leviticus chapters 9, which says, "And it came to pass on the 8th day that Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel, and he said to Aaron, Take a young calf for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering, without blemish, and offer them before Yahoshua. And the children of Israel you shall speak to them, saying, Take a kid of the goats for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both of the first year without blemish, for a burnt offering, and a bullock and a ram for shalom offering, to sacrifice before Yahoshua, and a grain offering mingled with oil, for today Yahoshua will appear to you. And they brought that which Moshe commanded before the tent of the appointed times, and all the congregation of Israel drew near and stood before Yahoshua." Now, in this instance, first, a sin offering was given for the Levites, for the priesthood. Second, it was done for Israel. And it explains in the rest of the passage that it was done, and the blood was dipped into the offering, which blood was put in a bowl. The priest, high priest at the time, Aaron, he dipped his finger in the blood and he put it on the horns of the altar, and then he poured the rest of the blood in the bowl that they collected onto the bottom of the altar. And they took the fat and the kidneys. When it says the fat and the kidneys of the animals and the lobe, that means the liver, the kidneys, and other parts of the animal, and they burned them on the altar. And the flesh and the hide, the skins, they burned with fire outside the camp. And similarly, all of this was done. The people's offering was done. First the priesthood offering was done, then the people's offering was done. And of course, as was customary, it says, "And the breasts and the right shoulder Aaron weighed for a wave offering before Yahoshua, as Moses commanded. And Aaron lifted his hands towards the people and blessed them or increased them, and came down from offering of the sin offering and the burnt offering and shalom offerings." In other words, when you want to appease, let me give you a principle. When you want to appease God, you want to please Him, so God can bless you, what do? You do an offering, a type of shalom offering. And a lot of you will say, oh, but we can't do a shalom offering today because we have no temple. And that is not true. A shalom offering is not restricted to a building, because God's presence is not listed, and not restricted, I should say restricted to a building. If you're still stuck at a building, then you need to move your theology forward, because God's presence is in the whole world. Wherever the priesthood goes, God's presence is there. Yeah, God's presence is there. I will give you something of interest. But, beliefs, a lot of these so-called beliefs that people carry today of the temple and of the priesthood, or of the so-called Judaism, come from a falsification of history, falsified histories. Let me give you one example. Let me give you one thing first. Can an offering be made outside the temple? Like, can I actually go and purchase a lamb and slaughter it where I am, in the country where I live? Let's say, it's a question I'm going to ask. Can I do that? Can I slaughter a lamb in a shalom offering, like a shalom, or shalom is basically a peace offering, like a peace or a restitution to God, like, maybe, things are happening in my life. Could be anybody, could be you, doesn't have to be me, could be you. So I'll rephrase the question. Can you, if you have problems happening in your life, things not going the right way, can you offer an offering to God outside of Israel with no temple? Can you do that? And the priesthood is alive. Let's say the priesthood is alive. Let's say I am the priest here. And can you give me the money to offer a lamb? And let's say I do the lamb, we butcher it, and I, give the meat, do the meat, the necessary thing to the meat. Doesn't mean that I'll keep all the meat. No, it means that in such a situation, what I will do is what's commanded to the priesthood is that they're allowed to have what you call the leg part of the meat they're allowed to have, and the rest of the meat will be distributed according to the Torah requirement. So can it be done? Can I purchase a lamb worth $400 today, or $500? Let's say $400. Can I purchase the lamb? I'm just going to assume $400. It might be $500, but let's just say, can I purchase a lamb $400? Buy the lamb, butcher it, slaughter it, distribute the meat accordingly. Can I do that in a peace offering or in a restitution type offering outside the temple where I am? And you will be shocked at the answer, and the answer is yes, I can do that. I can do that for you. With a live animal, I could go just to the market, purchase an animal that is without blemish, and I can do that on your behalf. For that, you'd have to speak to me and I'll explain to you how it's done. But nevertheless, it can be done. And then if somebody's having difficulties, problems, issues, or maybe somebody's done really well and they just want to give a thanks offering to God, can that be done? The answer is yes, it can be done. So all these things that you hear, sometimes you read, and are misapplied and misappropriated by so-called rabbinic rabbis out there who claim to be the experts and authorities that they are not. Because what did God say? What did God say to you in the Torah, in the first 5 books of Moses? What was the command? The command was that the priest that is in those days that whatever judgment He gives you, it shall be my word. It means it overrides everything. He can override everything and say, yes, it can be done, and it can be done. Why? Because it happened in the past. It happened in the past when we had no temple. When for 400 years we had no temple, we had no king. We just had judges. Ask yourself, was there a temple? And the answer is no. Was there a tabernacle? The answer is yes. Do we even need a tabernacle for an offering? And the answer is no, we don't need a tabernacle. We don't need an Ark of the Covenant. All of those things are not relevant. And let me tell you something else of interest. If you think that you won't be blessed by that, you would be wrong. You would be tremendously blessed if you did that even today in 2024, in August. We're at the end of August, or September. You'll still be blessed. And you'll be absolutely shocked. Wow, it can happen. Yes, it can happen. And you will still tremendously be blessed. But because of the wrong teachings in the past, or inaccurate teachings in the past, people have refrained. People have just gone to Israel and given money to those people that they claim to be, from God. And unfortunately, a lot of you know otherwise. That a lot of people who make claims to be of so-called chosen stock don't turn out to be chosen stock. Even the temple site is not the temple site. A lot of things are not in the right place, but because it's a system. This system is put in place by people, and they keep feeding you garbage. When they keep feeding you garbage, you keep believing garbage. It's the Christian churches in America. Look at them. They keep fed on garbage, and they believe the garbage is true. And they're far away from the truth. So, it's not my job to go to every church and tell them the truth. They have to come to that knowledge by themselves through the Spirit of God. And if they want to stay in blindness, then they can stay in blindness. Let me tell you of an interesting story. Back in the day, in Napoleon's day, Napoleon wanted to rule the world. And Napoleon went out there winning wars. He said, I want to rule the world. So he went out winning the wars, and every war that he fought, he won the war. He won it outright. And then came the battle with the British. Circumstances were created for them to fight the war. Guess who was behind those circumstances? You'll be shocked at who was behind those circumstances, but let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about the war that the British and the, Napoleon fought. The war started. The Rothschild family, Jewish family in Germany at the time, they came to the British, and British ran out of money, and they said, we'll support you with the war. So they started to give money as loans to the British. But that wasn't where they stopped, because they wanted to make money from the war from both sides. So they went behind the back of the British, and they went to Napoleon, and they said, we'll support you with the war. And they started to give money to Napoleon's armies as well, because Napoleon also needed money to fight the war. So they continued to support both sides. The Rothschild family, by the way, this is history. So they continued to support both sides. And what happened, the war continued. They continued to benefit from the loans that they had given, because their idea was that the people who really wanted to rule the world were not technically the British or the Napoleon, but it was going to be the Rothschilds. Yeah, they were going to rule the world. And they put their plan into place to do that. Now, whether you believe they're the real Jews or not the real Jews, that's not the relevant fact at this point in history. What is important, they had a plan to, control the finances of the world. They're the people who created the banks. So, the reason we use ATMs today is, I would say, is thanks to them, because they created the ATMs for people to use. And they could benefit from even ATMs, and also we benefit by going to the ATM and not have to queue up. Let's be honest about it. We don't go to the banks today, mostly we go to the ATMs and we don't have to queue up in the banks, and that's also thanks to the Rothschilds. I mean, let's give thanks where thanks is due, and where it's not due, we don't give it. So, what happened? They started to fund war both sides, and when the British won the war, the crafty thing that the Rothschild family did, in those days there was no proper transport. It was horses and carriage. So what they did, they sent a pigeon to the UK, to somewhere in London, I guess, and they spread a fake news that British lost the war. They knew that by doing that, the British pound will fall, sterling will fall, bonds will be falling, and they did that because they had cash to buy those commodity, those items, the currencies. So when the fake news spread very fast, people started to sell like droves, their bonds, their other things. And then what happened is, when the pound fell and the bonds fell out of favor and people started to sell them who owned them, then the Rothschild family, they bought them, from the sellers. They bought them at cheaper prices, and they bought lots and lots of it. Then what happened? After that, the real horseman who was bringing the news of the British war that they have won, the real news came out after the fake news. When the real news came out, it then sent shockwaves, and the pound went sky high, and the bonds went high as well. And the Rothschild family at that time, were holding lots and lots of currencies, pound currencies, sterling, and they were holding contracts in bonds. And what happened, it is believed, let me give you a figure, it is believed that they made $6 billion at that time. Think about that for a second. $6 billion they made out of that deal, that fake news. And today you support the same people. Christians today support the same people, and then they claim that, this and that and the other. So, I'm not against the Rothschilds. Why should I be against them? I'm just telling you that what happened in history, and how people have been lied to, and they still continue to support the same people, and they continue to be godly people. Okay? So, what happened? The Rothschilds single-handedly rebuilt Israel. They went in 1917 to Lord Ian Balfour. When England was in dire straits and needed money, they went to the Lord and said to him, we want this land. We want this land at all costs. And so they signed a deal, and they got the land in 1917 on a deal, because they were going to support financially Britain to fund their wars, and they in return got the land of Israel. So single-handedly, the Rothschilds spent their own money. They had billions. They made billions in the markets through these wars that they created. And the same thing's happening today. Come on. Do you think the war in Ukraine is created by Ukrainians? No. Same people are doing the same thing today, but a lot of people out there are buffoons if they believe that these wars are created by Russia or whoever. These wars are created by the so-called people that control the money. Follow the money, and you will know who created the wars. So the whole point of me telling you this little story is this: stop supporting people who claim to be what they are not. And I also told you that I've set the judgment. Now it's up to you what you do with it. And why do I say that? Remember, in the old days, that they used to take a goat or a lamb or a calf, And the people who, somebody who's rich would buy a calf, somebody who's maybe, able to afford a lamb, he will buy a lamb. Somebody is able to afford a goat, he will buy a goat. And they will bring it to the priest. Not to the temple, to the priest. Because remember, for 400 years we had no temple. So where do you think they took the goat and the lamb and the bull? To the priest. And the priest will then do the necessary, and then that will affect that person. And that still works today, by the way. Yes, it still works today. Irrelevant of what anybody tells you. So, let me give you another little secret. Another little secret is this. I'll give you some of it, not all of it. When you read histories, and a lot of these histories are manipulated. When you read these histories, and the histories read like a story, the histories read like an interesting story. And what is the story? The story is this, that the Ark of the Covenant, was hid by Jeremiah the prophet. One legendary history. Second legendary history, that perhaps, the Crusaders took it away. Third legendary history, or they call them the Templar Knights. The third legendary history is that it's placed in Ethiopia in a church. All of these legends. And you never get to hear. Let me tell you something of interest. Did you know that the Muslims captured the Ark at one moment in time? Did you know that? You will not find this history on internet. Because God has given me an interesting position and place, and in the midst of a people, that I can tell you this. At one time, the Muslim conqueror, one of the Muslim conquerors, I won't even give his name to you. I'll just tell you that he took the Ark from the Jews not in Jerusalem, but near Jerusalem, somewhere on the outskirts of Jerusalem. They were transporting the Ark into a secret place. The Jews at the time, who were very affluent, they especially came from Europe, by the way. You guess which ones they are. So they were transporting it to a secret place where they had an intent. Their intent was that we'll take the Ark to Jerusalem. We will gather all the Jews, we'll gather all the rich Jews together. We'll ask them to establish a kingdom in Israel, starting from Jerusalem, and they'll all come back from whichever countries they're in. So they had this idea that they could start their kingdom back then. We're talking about 1100, 1200 CE time period. So they were transporting the Ark, and then the Muslims captured it. Yes, the Muslims captured the Ark. And the Muslims kept the Ark for a time. The Muslims knew, the Muslim conquerors knew that this Ark was very important to the Jews. So they were going to strike a deal with the Jews to not only return the lands that were taken away from them at the time, and of course the Crusader armies had blocked the passages, certain passages that the Muslims couldn't go to pilgrimage in Mecca, and so the Muslims did that so they could strike a deal using the Ark of the Covenant. And yes, the Ark of the Covenant was with the Muslims. Now you tell me, where do you read such history? It's not on the internet. It's not in any book. You won't find it in any book. You won't find it on the internet. That history is with the Muslim people, and it's actually true. So this is the problem. The problem is that unless you're in the midst of the people, you won't know what is true and what is not true. So I'm giving you what is true. Hold fast to that information. Now, I remember I said that there's going to be some interesting twist and turn to the story of the war. And if we, let me go to the book of Jeremiah, and let's see what the book of Jeremiah has to say regards this little war that's about to take place. Bear with me, I'm just going to pull the Bible open. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so I read the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, verse 7, concerning Edom. This is what Yahoshua says about Edom. Is there no longer wisdom in Teman? Has counsel perished from the prudent? Has their wisdom decayed? Turn and flee, hide in deep caves. Who you live in Dedan, for I will bring disaster on Esau. At the time when I punish him, I'm just going to stop here. I'm just going to stop here, okay? Why? All of you, and I don't mean the you as in my students, I'm talking about the collective you out there. The so-called you that believe that whatever the present day Jewish people in Israel do, in other words, their leaders, that it doesn't matter, they'll still prosper and they'll still win, blah, 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 and all this, crap that is taught in churches. And the answer is no. The leaders in Israel will lose the war. They've already lost it. The war that started by the Palestinians, they've already lost that war. And they are getting involved into the war with Lebanon and Iran, and they're going to lose that war too, by the way. So, rest assured, history is about to change. Because, when I need to read history, what I do, I don't go and look at the tabloid newspaper, what the history says there. I read the history right in my Bible, and I see it right over here. Is there no longer wisdom in Teman? Has counsel perished from the prudent? Has their wisdom decayed? Turn and flee, hide in deep caves. You live in Dedan, for I will bring disaster on Esau. At the time when I punish him. What is that time? That time never happened in the past. That time is now. If grape pickers came to you, would they not leave a few grapes? If thieves came during the night, would they not only steal only as much as they wanted? But I will strip Esau bare. I will uncover his hiding places, so that he cannot conceal himself. His armed men are destroyed. By the way, this is talking about the armies. His armed men, fighters, tanks, missiles, drones. His armed men are destroyed. Also his allies and neighbors. Who's the allies and the neighbors? America, Europe, they are getting their butt kicked right now in the Middle East. Yemen is destroying ships in the Red Sea, and they rule the Red Sea. No one else rules the Red Sea right now. America can't do anything. Britain can't do anything. France can't do anything. They're actually begging Yemen to let go of their ships that they are controlling. They actually just recently destroyed a big oil tanker that belonged to some Greek billionaire. So I'm reading the history in the Bible. I'm not reading the newspaper. I'm reading the history right over here. And look what the history says. I will strip Esau bare. I will uncover his hiding places, so that he cannot conceal himself. His armed men are destroyed, and his allies and neighbors, so there's no one to say, leave your father's children, I will keep them alive. Your widows too can depend on me. Then it says, this is what Yahoshua says. If those who do not deserve to drink the cup must drink it, why should you go unpunished? You will not go unpunished, but must drink it. I swear by myself, declares Yahoshua. Bozrah will become a ruin and a curse, an object of horror and reproach, for all his towns will be in ruins forever. Well, forever over here doesn't necessarily mean forever as in, the end of the age. Forever here simply means to the end of that generation. In other words, if there's a generation today and that generation lives for 40 years, then forever only applies to that generation's end. Because this is a punishment on a land, and the land punishment doesn't mean that the land will be desolate forever. No, it means that the land will be desolate for that generation it applies to. So, if it applies to a place in the Middle East, let's apply it to Israel. If it applied to Israel, then Israel will remain desolate for a generation before the next generation comes and then reestablishes it, etc. That's what it means. And then, the judgment continues. I have heard a message from Yahoshua. An envoy was sent to the nations to say, assemble yourselves to attack it, rise up for battle. Now I will make you small among the nations, despised by mankind. The terror you inspire and the pride of your heart have deceived you. You who live in the clefts of the rocks, who occupy the heights of the hill. Though you build your nest as high as the eagles, from there I will bring you down, declares Yahoshua. That little bit has got so much in there. That's why I said there will be some nasty surprises for Israel's leaders, and I'm not going to say any more than that. Nasty surprises are on their way. Let's not pretend otherwise. Now let's come back to us. I say that, I told you last week, I gave you a meditation, and I told you, and I'll put that meditation up, by the way. It's up, in, I believe, in YouTube or in Rumble as well. And you can listen to that meditation every day. That visual prayer meditation, you should be doing that every day for yourself. You should be doing that if you want to benefit your life and make it better. That's a great little meditation. I would encourage you to do it every day. Okay? It's not long. It's not a huge long time. If you want to better your lives, what's 20 minutes in a day for you? Now, those of you who were doing robotic affirmations, I wanted to make sure that you understand the way to make robotic affirmations work for you is that you, when you do them, also put yourself in the position of believing that you are the higher version of yourself. You are that person. In other words, if you want to have a sum of money, if you want to have a higher paying job, if you want to have a good running business, you got to believe that you are that person. Like, let's say, if you wanted to earn a higher paid salary, if you get the higher paid salary, what will you be? What, services will you be offering? How will you behave? How will you talk? That kind of thing. Also, if you wanted to have a business, what kind of business, what kind of services you're selling, what kind of person will you become with that money? In other words, you place yourself at the end. What will you be like? What kind of clothes will you wear? What kind of car will you drive? How will you talk? You got to close your eyes for a few minutes every day, several times a day, by the way. Few minutes, like every day, for maybe 2 minutes, maybe 10 times a day if you need to. You close your eyes and you look at yourself and you think, yeah, I'm going to be this type of person. I'm going to be, I'm going to be wearing a suit, 2-piece suit. I'm going to wear a tie. And, I'm going to walk in a certain way. I'm going to talk in a certain way. And I will have a business that's generating 5 figures a month, etc. Or, you're some kind of an engineer or some kind of a salaried worker, and you get a higher salary job, and you're working for maybe an institution, bank, some other financial institution, and you're there, and you're attired in your suit or in your clothes, tie, shirt, pants, etc. And you you're speaking in a certain way and you're commanding certain respect, you're handling certain projects, and whatever you do happens, and people look up to you, people respect you. You look yourself like that, and this is what you see. You see yourself where people are coming to you and you give them decisions and they're happy with you, and you're getting a nice salary for that. Or you have a business that's thriving, making 5 figures income every month, and you're doing great. And you're driving your whatever car that you like to drive, let's call it BMW. You're driving your BMW or Mercedes, and you're attired accordingly, you speak accordingly, and you see yourself in that. You got to, what am I saying? I'm saying that you got to swap your identity, shift your identity to the person you want to be. That's how you need to see yourself every day. And it will, if you continue to see yourself like that, it will cement as a reality for you. Our world is plastic. We need to change this plastic world. Because our world is plastic, we need to change it. Do you understand what that means? It means that we live in a plastic world, and we can change this world. It's a hologram. We can change that hologram. Whatever we project from inside of us, inside of our brains, our heart, we project this hologram because it's your thoughts, it's your feelings, it's your picture inside of you. You project this hologram, this plastic world. You can change it. In this plastic world, you can be the higher version of yourself and you can be a multimillionaire. Or you can be the poorest person on the earth and have no place to live. And you're out there sleeping on cardboard boxes. That's all within you. I've given you several stories about that in the past. About that poor little lad in New York somewhere who kept looking at this person, a newspaper editor, and the newspaper editor was sitting in his office, and this poor lad who used to watch him every day, he believed that he's going to be that person. He kept imagining it. He kept closing his eyes and seeing himself sitting there, even though he was so poor. And then one day, through opportunity, through change of circumstance, because he projected it from within him, he changed his plastic world. He changed his hologram. And then one day he became that person. He sat in that office. Same way, you can do that. You need to change your plastic world. It's a plastic world. It's a hologram. You can change it from within yourself. If you want to be the owner of 20 homes that are rented, well, then become that person, the higher version of you, who has 20 homes rented. And you're collecting rent every month. You don't have to lift a finger to collect rent. You collect rent every month of 20 properties. And you live your life as a king or as a queen. That too is possible. Everything comes from within. So start to be that person. Start to imagine yourself as that person. If you're a person who has 3 businesses that are running, that are successful, they don't have to be physical businesses. They can be online businesses, or they can be physical businesses, retail space. You can have retail space, or you can have online businesses. Whatever you decide, it can be yours. Change your inside. Change your inside. Start imagining you are that person. Start changing your identity. What would you do if you had $10 million, if you had $20 million or $50 million in your account? How would you feel? Now imagine, before you go to bed every night, I gave you the amount 6 million. You can change it to more. You can say that you have 50 million in your account. Now, before you go to bed, if you sleep at midnight or 10 o'clock in the evening or whatever time, before you go to bed, 5 minutes. I want you to just donate 5 minutes of your time. Donate it for yourself. You believe that you have that 20 million or the 50 million in your bank. How would I feel now that I have that $20 million in my account? How would I feel? How would I feel if I had 50 million in my account? Wow. I would feel like I'm on top of the world. I'm giving thanks. Baruch Hashem. I'm giving thank you, Lord. Giving thank you to God. And I'm saying, I am so blessed. I am so blessed that I have this money. And what do? I decide, oh, I'm going to retire my parents. Maybe that's one decision you make. You might decide that, hey, I'm going to start some kind of charity and put some money into the charity from my business. And I'm going to start doing some business. Maybe I go into the real estate space and I, purchase a whole apartment block with 80 apartments in there. Maybe I start a retail space with some other business. Maybe, you start online business, maybe Amazon. Maybe you start some other retail, some other online space. There's many. I'm just giving you some examples. That you purchase your products from China and you sell them in the States. Many businesses like that, by the way, are available. That way you just have to believe that you are that person driving that business. And yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. All of you can. Put your belief behind it. Put your vision behind it. You can do it. You can do it. Don't say, I'm not educated. I have a wooden leg. All these excuses are out. You're educated enough. You have all the opportunities that everybody else has. You can do it. Just change your world within. When you change your world within, your plastic world will change. Listen, I went out there and I said to myself, today I'm going to see blue cars. Just to test my imaginative power. I said, I'm going to see blue cars outside. And guess what? There's not many blue cars where I am. So hardly many. There's a lot of white cars. There's a lot of black cars. Not many blue cars. And, I was with the wife, and the wife goes to me. I said, I haven't seen many blue cars. And the wife goes, we were in a gas station filling gas. My wife goes, look over there, there's a blue car. And yes, there was a blue car to the left of me. So I started to see blue cars. So every time a blue car came, my wife would say, oh, look, over there is a blue car. So she started pointing out blue cars to me. So whatever you believe, it's possible. It's possible, it can happen. Start changing your belief system. Start believing that you have a sum of money in the bank, that you have a business, that you have that high salary job. I did that already. I did that in the past when I believed that I had a great job. And I went from $5,000 to $100,000 plus salary. Yes, that happened in my life. So why? Because I believed it. I believed that I'm going to one day have a great job with a high salary. And I got that high salary job. So it's possible. You should also believe in it and apply it. It will work for you. I assure you it will work for you. You shouldn't be upset about it. It can happen. It can happen and it is possible. Okay? So don't think, oh, it's not going to happen for me. It's going to happen for you. Absolutely it's going to happen for you. You got to believe in it. Believe in it. Also, one other exercise I will suggest to you, which will really, really be helpful for you, is this. What you do is every day set a time that you go for a walk. Like maybe, 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. For me, it's 11 o'clock at night. Okay? So I set myself for 11 o'clock at night. I go for a walk when it's completely quiet out there. There's no soul around. And you just, go outside. And like, I'm not saying that you have to do it at 11 p.m. For some of you, that might be bedtime. So what you want to do is choose a time at night, whether it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Choose a time to go for a walk. Go for a walk, yourself, by yourself, or with your spouse. And what you're going to do, the first part of the walk, the first, 5 minutes, you want to be in a gratitude state. And for gratitude, you're just going to give thanks to God. Thanks for your health. Thanks for the food you ate today. Thanks for the clothes you wear. Thanks for the, car that you drive. Thanks for the house that you live in. Thanks for the oxygen that you, are inhaling. Thanks for the country you live in. Thanks for the environment. Basically gratitude for first 5 minutes of the walk. You continue to give gratitude. Once you've done the gratitude part and you're happy that you've done the gratitude part, then the next 5 to 10 minutes you're now going to imagine what you want to be, like what you're trying to acquire. Let's say it's a bigger home or a new apartment. If it's a new apartment, you imagine yourself, as you're walking with eyes open, you imagine yourself, because you're not going to talk to anybody at this time. You're only walking and imagining. And you're going to imagine with your open eyes that you're in that house, that you're getting congratulations, that people are around you, and you'll be very happy, etc. And your car is parked on the driveway. You see that. So that'll be the next 10 minutes of your walk. And if it's a business, then you see your business being successful. Sales are coming in. If it's a sum of money, then you see a sum of money hitting your account. You see your balance, and your balance is going up. Normally the bank sends you an email, say you have a deposit, or or you open your mobile banking app, and you look and you see that balance you're desiring to see. You got a $20 million balance, and you got an email saying that you got a large deposit of $20 million. So, those kind of alerts you can set at your online banking, and you see that. And, you're walking, yet you're seeing this balance. Or if you're the owner of 20 homes rented, maybe you have an apartment complex that's rented in your vision, and you're looking and you see yourself that you have this big apartment complex that belongs to you, is rented, and your rent is coming into your business account, and you open your app in your imagination. Of course, in your imagination, you're opening your app and you look, oh right, you got the month's rent coming, $50,000 or whatever it is coming to into your branch, and you're happy with it, and you need to do that. And you need to do that whilst you're walking every day. Okay, I want you to do this walk every day. It's got number of benefits. Number one, it's of great benefit to you because number one, it's great for your health. Okay, it's great for your health to do a walk every day. Number two, you're giving gratitude. Number three, you're imagining that your goal, that your desire is fulfilled. You're at the end of it. And maybe for some of you, that might be a new vehicle, that you are driving that vehicle, that you are sitting in the vehicle, that you're smelling the new leather, that you got your spouse or your friend sitting with you and giving you congratulations. But you do that every day. That's how you're going to change your plastic world. Your plastic world, which is a reality that you have pushed out. If you're poor today, don't go blaming other people. Oh, because of him I became poor. No. It's your reality. You created it. You pushed it out from your internal. And now you're seeing it. And now you're complaining and whining about it. Don't do that. You got to change it. And you also have the power to change it. Sure. Other people can influence it. Other people can influence it and help you change it. Like I could, pray. I could see that you're in a better position, and that will help change it too. So remember that you have that. All these possibilities are with you. You can change that plastic reality. But I want you to remember to do this. This is like a healthy exercise. You don't need to go to the gym for this. You can do this, in your street. Do it every day. Do it because it will tremendously help you. It will benefit you. And it will be good for your psychology as well. Now, some of you might say, but, I live in a very busy, I don't know if you're in New York, downtown somewhere, it's very, very busy. Even you can do it there, but let's just say for some reason, odd reason, that you're not able to go for a walk because whatever reason, it's too busy, or you don't have, you don't want to be out there seen by the people, or whatever. 101 reasons you don't want to go. Okay, in that case, just do it at home. You can do it whilst you're cycling at home. On your, robot, on your single, on your stationary cycle. You can do it in the stationary cycle if you have it. If you don't have a stationary cycle, then just on your floor, in your home, just close your eyes, so that don't wear off and hit your, cabinets. That kind of funny. You hit your cabinets. So that you don't hit your cabinets, you hold on to maybe your chair, or maybe put your hand on the sofa, close your eyes, and start just pretending that you're walking outside. Okay? Just pretending. And then you start to give thanks. Same, gratitude. First 5-10 minutes, gratitude. Next 10 minutes, you start to imagine that you are that person with that business, with that car, with that house, with that spouse, with that great health, with that great body, whatever it is that you desire. Because you are now going to change the plastic world that you're in. So I want you to do this as an exercise. And it's not like you have to do it 7 days. It's nice to do it 7 days, but you don't have to do it 7 days. You can do it 5 days. And if nothing, you get great health out of it. But by the way, it's not like nothing. It will give you benefit. Stick to it. Stop complaining about this, that, and the third. Listen, when you go out and work, some of you have worked for some companies for 30 years. You have given 30 years of your life, maybe 20 years of your life to a company to benefit the company, to enrich them. And yet, you want to change your life, you want to change your plastic world, and you get fed up after 3 months because, nothing is changing for me. I'm fed up with this. I don't like this because I've done it for 3 months and nothing's happened, or done it for 6 months and nothing happened. Yet you spent 20 years for a company and your life hasn't moved. You're still that same worker, still earning the same salary, enriching somebody else, but you complain that you spent 6 months doing some exercise and it didn't help you. And I'm not criticizing any of you for that. I'm not putting any names on the criticism. I'm simply saying, please don't think like that. Just because something didn't work for you for 6 months doesn't mean it doesn't work. It means that you are becoming impatient. You want things to happen like yesterday, like a microwave thing. No, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen yesterday. It's your plastic world. You created it. If you are in a situation, in a dire situation today, you got bad health, something else is happening to you, your wife left you and ran away or whatever, it's because of you. Because you carried that fear inside your body, inside your head all the time. You kept thinking about it. You kept, visualizing it. And then one day, that wife ups and leaves. And now you're moaning and complaining, my wife left, she's not good. Yet you're the one who created that plastic world. So stop creating the plastic world that is annoying you. Start creating the world in which you are the great person that you are. You're the great person that God is working through you, and now God is creating what you desire. You want to be at the end of that. Somebody said to me that I want to have a baby. And can I see myself pregnant? And I said, no. If you want to have a baby, you don't see yourself pregnant. You see yourself holding that baby at the end product. I said, what is the end product? The end product is that you have a child. I said, well, what's it going to be? Is it a boy or is it a girl? So she said, it's a girl. I said, okay, great. Then imagine that you're taking your daughter to school. You're driving her to school and dropping her to school. That's a great end to have for a child. Or you're walking that child to school, or maybe you're going with that child somewhere. I said that's where you want to be. In other words, the child is already 5-6 years of age, and you're there. So continue to imagine that, and then God will give you the child that you desire. God within us has many, many ways, millions of routes to get us where we want to go. But we need to continue to believe it. If you're going to continue to work for a company for 30 years of your life and nothing changes other than you bring the salary, you spend it, you pay your bills, and then you go back to work the next week and the company's getting richer and you're at the same place, stuck at one point. That's the plastic world you created. Now you want to change your plastic world to having your own business. Now your own business is generating maybe 5 figures a month or 6 figures a month. But you're so, impatient that you've been doing something for 6 months or 8 months or a whole year, and you're saying to yourself, I've been doing this imagination activity for a whole year, but something is not sticking right because, hey, I'm still not seeing my 5 figures in my business a month. That means there's something that you're doing wrong. That means either you're not having the feeling. Remember, the feeling is the secret. Feeling means that you already have the business. You are the owner. You impregnated yourself with the business. You are the owner. Now you see yourself getting the money. How are you going to do that? Is in your imagination. You continue to see the statement, the balance statement. It's changing every week. Every week you're getting that. If you're imagining that you're getting $50,000 a month, every week your balance in your account reflects $12,500 in your bank. Something to that effect. You keep seeing every month, and you keep closing your eyes and seeing, I got, $13,000 just deposited. $10,000 just deposited. $15,000 just deposited. I got 4 different deposits in the month. That just made me $60,000. Yeah, I just collected $60,000 of, profits from my business. That's how you need to do it. That's how you need to do it. You need to continue to see that, and don't get upset. Some of you may benefit from tapping. I gave you some tapping exercises a while ago. Some of you might benefit from that. Others of you, if you found that it's, not helping you, you've tried it, it hasn't helped you, don't give up. Now, I want you to start doing the walking exercise, because some of you may benefit from scripting. Others may not. Some of you may benefit from exercise. Exercise in the sense, you go for a walk, you give gratitude. After that, you imagine that you have what you, desire to have. Imagine it at the end. And it will benefit you. Okay? I want you to do that. So with that, I'm going to say, have a wonderful week ahead. Oh, and if you want to find out more about the sacrifices system, what I mentioned about the free will offering, the gratitude offering, or the, thank you offering, get in touch with me. And if you're interested in any of that, then get in touch. Other than that, have a wonderful week ahead. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom to you.